I'm Coach Adam. Today I'm going to talk about modifying the forehand for shoulder injuries. And I know very well what shoulder injuries are like. I've had a slap tear on both of these. I'm going to describe what the slap tear is and why it becomes difficult for tennis players to really deal with. And I think I can help some of you that are starting to have some chronic problems with your shoulders and you still want to get into the game and play aggressively, and we can try this out, and I'm hoping I can help you with it. Let's look at what a labral tear is. A slap tear, common for tennis players, common for baseball players, anybody who's ever done anything that is above the height of their shoulder and their arm swinging. So a labral tear basically is this cartilage that surrounds the outside of the joint, and in this case the glenohumeral joint, where the humerus attaches, this bone right here up into my shoulder, well, this labrum wraps around it like this, and at the top here is a tendon. Well, this is your bicep tendon. And when you get a labral tear, and labral tear stands for, or slap tear, excuse me, slap tear stands for superior at the top, labral, anterior posterior tear. And it's the tendon, that bicep tendon, that comes off, and it's coming off with the labrum, and they're pulling away, and this gap right here is what needs to heal, or you need to have surgery to bring that together again, and it's very painful. And the problem is where that is located. Anytime you raise your arm up, well, that gap right there as you're coming up is feeling like it's pinched. The scar tissue that's developing there is creating a lack of space, so you can't get the arm up. Some people are dealing with a frozen shoulder joint. Anytime, if I do a bicep curl and I turn my arm out this way, look where the bicep went out, that is going to irritate my shoulder, that position. Right away, let me show you. That position of turning the arm out is creating a tightness in the joint that if you have a shoulder injury, that's really going to bother you. So we're talking about modifying the forehand today to accommodate shoulder discomfort, a shoulder injury, and I've had slap tears on both of these. I was referred to surgery and I was able to heal it myself. It took a long time, but I needed to learn how to adapt to do things so I wasn't irritating it, because the pain is the debilitator, and if I'm giving it pain, I'm extending the length of time it's going to take to heal. All things heal. You may not be perfect in the end, but if you do it right, you will be satisfied with the outcome. So let's look at the swings that we're familiar with. I'm going to take a few pros that we're all familiar with and look at their swing path, and I'm going to point out at what point it's going to bother my arm. So if we look at Djokovic, and Djokovic picks up that racket high, it's pointing forward. Again, by turning the racket out with that wrist, remember what happened at the bicep? Well, starting to pull the bicep tendon at the top, and the higher up I go, this point in the preparation is where I'm going to have the discomfort. Now, if we follow him down as he's dropping the racket into the back, getting into what we call that slot, before the wrist snap and the racket lag into the ball, perfectly fine. That's the spot we want to try to figure out how to get to without that impingement going on there and creating that pain. Let's look at Nadal. Same thing. Nadal comes up high, and right here as he's turning the racket out to the side and the bicep is going down towards my elbow, just because of that external rotation on my wrist, that pronation there, I'm getting tension in the wrist, and as I come up, that's bothering me. He drops the elbow back to get into the slot. You know, that's again the spot we're looking to get into, and then he swings. Everything down here fine. Again, it's that upper area that is the problem. And you're gonna, you know, if we went back to the old coaching styles of, oh, we need this big C pattern, you know, great for students when they're learning, but as we advance and get into the higher level of tennis, that changes. It's not the same. And I think that's a go-to that we forget and we need to redefine. All right, let's look at Federer. All right, let's look at Federer's grip again and extrapolate from that. The Eastern grip is really beneficial for shoulder injuries because it doesn't require you to externally rotate the racket so far. And Federer, by doing that, with the racket looking forward first, now he comes back with that racket high. With shoulder injuries, you can't do that. So what I've done is I've modified it a little bit so that the racket is looking forward, but we're gonna do this kind of slope down in the back. If we're stuck on saying the C, well, we're gonna do a backward C. So the racket is looking at the ball, backwards C down, I'm in that slot, wrist rotation, there's that. The racket is lagging behind and that snap forward. Let's look at that from the front. So you're hitting at me, instead of turning the racket out, I'm keeping the racket looking at the ball for a split second, momentarily. Down, back, and through. That reduces a tremendous amount of stress on my shoulder. It allows me to continue to get the racket through the preparation phase down into the point where I'm going to start the snap and come into the ball without any pain. And pain is what's debilitating. And pain is what is going to cause me to have a hitch in my swing. And if I'm really thinking about it and I'm aware that, oh boy, this is going to hurt, it's going to affect how I play. So let's look at that again one last time. Racket is looking towards the ball for a split second rather than externally rotating. It's looking at the ball for a split second, and it's that slope down that keeps the shoulder open. I'm not feeling any stress there. Slope down, I'm in the slot and through. Give it a try. If you're suffering with some discomfort there or you've overdone it, this is a really easy way to modify the path of the racket to where every pro is getting their racket to before they're driving into the ball. It's not necessary that we go up high anymore if we're only hurting ourselves. So, get back to me. Anybody try that? Give me a comment back, or if you've got more questions about this, let me know, and I'm always glad to respond and help you out. And if you enjoy these videos, hit that subscribe button for me. All right, guys, have a good day.